So what's all this stuff about the Industrial Revolution that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Like what happened
Let's
there,
get into
man?
that for a second.
You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the most powerful revolution, is not the American. I'm going to sound blasphemous, I guess. And I don't think I'm the only person who thinks this. It's not the American Revolution. It wasn't the French Revolution. Whatever. I think the Industrial Revolution has shaped our, modern society more than any other revolution.
Yeah, hands down.
Hands down.
Yeah.
I think you get pushback on some people. Some people are like, no, America's so great.
If you study the history that came about after that,
you're not
no comparison.
I'm assuming you're not talking about like steam engines
I am
specifically.
100%. Yeah. With the infrastructure that disrupted. Now that was the first. What I'm talking about was that was both the building of the infrastructure of a global economy.
Steam, steel.
Yeah. Let's just think about what happened in that period. Right. And we're talking about a period between, let's call it, and I think, again, we had people disagree with this here, 1830 to 1920-ish.
Okay, yeah.
And in that time, the modes of distribution and the modes of transportation totally changed.
Right.
Yeah.
You once had to, if you wanted to have something come
ended
over from Paris,
slavery.
it ended slavery, but it did a lot of different things.
Right.
A lot of different things. But like, you could create a product all of a sudden in New York, ship it to San Francisco or ship it to Paris.
Yeah.
And it still be, it'd be relatively quickly.
Yeah.
Because of the steam engine and all these different things.
Yeah, rail and no, you don't need sails on your boat anymore.
So the modes of distribution, the modes of transportation totally upended and changed, right?
Products are cheaper.
Modes of production
less.
change. The interchangeable part
Yeah.
wasn't created, I don't think, until like the 1840s. Now think about that. Prior to the 1840s, everything you had made, your knife, your gun, your hoe, your clothes, everything was unique and individual. Period. The interchangeable part, right, and with the modes of production that changed, with the interchangeable part, the creating of assembly lines, creating production, mass production,
right,
and able to create many things that are exactly the same product one out of 1,000.
I think firearms might have been fundamental in starting that.
Well, the firearms were fundamental in creating the interchangeable part.
Right, that's what
not
I mean.
in creating. Yeah,
in the interchangeable
That's
part.
funny. That's something I've never actually considered. Like, oh yeah, like a nut that fits two different screws made by two different companies.
Right.
Like, whoa.
Didn't exist until so now. You see what I'm saying?
I take that for granted.
Yeah,
right.
We all take it for granted.
Everyone,
I can buy this pen, your pen, almost the exact same thing, change it out, and you'd be like, well, you can't tell the difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a point in time where you'd be like, oh, this one has slightly different flecks of gray, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it loses a luster, if you will, some people would say, but it also creates economies of scale, and it changes what you can make, and it changes how you view consumption. Because now all of a sudden the cost of a good goes way down.
Right.
Yeah.
If I can produce thousands of them, instead of it being an individual craftsman making me one thing, the cost of goods go way down. Again, we're talking about the building of a middle class, blah, blah, blah. Now, the third thing in flux at this point is the dissemination of information, right? Prior to the Industrial Revolution, I want to say, and I'm going to get my numbers wrong here, but I want to say less than 50% of the populace was literate.
Yeah.
Right? And the printing press, the radio, the what's it called? Telegraph, all these different things, it changed so much. The how humans were able to consume information.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like, if Lincoln was shot, 20 years before, 30 years before, it would have taken months for California to hear about it.
Yeah, weeks at least.
Weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks.
Yeah.
At least.
Right.
How do people
Instead, it was
anything?
Right.
not like it is today, but it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, I found out the next day.
Right.
And I live in Indiana.
Right.
And like, whoa, how did that, you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, information, it really compresses the time and space in which, information can be shared and blah, blah, blah. Now, all of a sudden we have what's being built out over the Industrial Revolution is a robust, massive, economy that's based on consumerism, right? And if you're going to have consumerism and you're going to have people making different types of products, guess what? You got to advertise on it.
Yeah.
You got to get people aware of your product. You got to get them buying your product. You got to get all this stuff. So all of a sudden, the infrastructure of the ad world starts being built. print, which is still amazingly a shockingly large portion of our ad buy every year. I think it's still like 17%. Print paper.
Right.
What people advertising in print still 17%.
That's nuts.
Fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. But I digress. I mean, the point is, all that infrastructure is being built out, right? Still, I mean, and just like in products and all these different things, they were still owned by very few amount of people. The money going to the top, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Hertz, Carnegie, Rockefeller, all these different, we called them great men and, of the industrial age.
Yeah.
Becoming super uber wealthy and not being part of quote unquote the ruling class.
Right.
Prior to this period,
didn't exist.
Yeah. For you to be like massively powerful, I mean, that's not 100% true. I mean, there were large families that were built their, stuff on trade, but you usually had somebody in the ruling class. You had
hundreds of years ruling class family.
Yeah. So now you have, people who built themselves up, and you have the foundation of the American dream is embedded in the Industrial Revolution.
Absolutely. All
these different things that are built on top of this massive commerce society, and the advertising industry being built the same way.
Mm.
And again, that's why I use the term of a funnel. There's a huge amount of cash, and we talk about ads. There's people who buy the ads, and then they hire ad agencies that distribute, that come up with the creative, that then distribute the ads on on the platforms, right? And the reason this is all in flux and in change is because this is a cell phone, and this is one of the strongest computers in the world, 20 years ago, and now it's in my pocket, right? And now I can watch full movies, I can play video games, I can do everything on this thing, right? So now the ads are probably all going.
You can buy and sell ads on it.
Buy and sell ads here. So, the disruption that's happening, the disruption that has been happening over the last 15 years with technology, I mean, if you look at the music industry, all these disruptions has to do with the access of that content, right? It has to do with what it costs for you to get that access, right? And that cost used to be, you have to sit here and watch 5 30-second ads, period.
Right.
If you don't watch this show, you're going to have to sit here and watch 5 30-second ads. No longer the truth. So when I say what Google did in 2006 being one of the most disruptive and most important decisions of the last 100 years when it comes to the industry, what I'm saying is they genuinely, and this is where I think Facebook totally misses the mark, they genuinely created a partnership program where a percentage of the ad revenue goes to you, the content creator, you, the producer of that stuff. They in a weird way, they both widened and shrunk the filter. They widened the filter because they made millions of other people who could be distributors. They shrunk it in that instead of buying from like 10 different people, you have to buy from one source, and that's Google.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what's really fascinating about the time we're living in. My company, 3 Black Dot, your guys' company, Corridor Digital, both relatively new, young companies that are incredibly successful. Someone wanted to acquire us. Somebody would want to acquire you if you wanted to.
Right.
But what's amazing is you get to do that on your own. You get to decide that.
Mm-hmm.
So, back to the Industrial Revolution, why I think that this is, in a way, a new Industrial Revolution. 20 years ago, guys that wanted to make movies and shorts and TV, you literally had, 2 avenues? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You had to toe the line. You had to fucking slug it out.
That's why you get all these crazy Hollywood stories about people doing heinous shit because they're like,
the power is so skewed.
Well, right. I think, I'm just trying to as I listen, I keep trying to simplify it and distill this. And it sounds kind of like when you talk about the Industrial Revolution compared to 2006 here, all we're really talking about is it's about the reach, so to speak. The Industrial Revolution creates a physical, tangible reach to more people and a mental reach. And that what happens in 2006 is through the creation of content creators or influencers, you're basically handing over the keys to more people for that kind of reach now.
Let me back up. No, because I don't think I explained it all. So no, I actually think all those things are in flux again.
Mm.
Right? The modes of production, right? So the modes of production, from a cost perspective, let's go 20 years. Let's not go 100 years ago. Let's go 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Incredibly expensive for you to start up right? Let's not even go to distribution. Like distribution, getting something filmed and made and seen, literally it took a lightning bolt. If you self-financed it and you didn't go through the Hollywood way, it took a lightning bolt. 1 in a billion chance for your shit to be seen.
Right.
And it was incredibly expensive to make, right? So the cost of production, again, has gone down so much that you can do this, right? The modes of distribution. The most difficult part of this whole ecosystem is the modes of distribution.
Yeah.
It's no longer the most difficult part, and I'll get to that in a second. But the most difficult part in the Industrial Revolution was the modes of distribution, because it was also the most expensive part, because you had to build the railroad, you had to pay someone to do all these different things to get your product from here to here, right? Or to get seen, back in the day when there were only 2 TV channels, you only had 2 people you could go to get something distributed.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it was the hardest part of the chain.
Yeah.
Right? It is now, flip it, it's now the easiest.
Yeah.
The hardest and most expensive is now the easiest.